Hello, and welcome again to another episode of GameQ. I am Jason.
I am Wesley.
And today we're going to be talking about
Final Fantasy VII, the classic.
original. We didn't
we didn't practice this.
Sure.
You can see.
The original, the classic.
Yes.
Though I guess this is technically the remastered version.
I mean, it's the version. I think it's the PC version actually.
Is it?
I
think it's an updated version of the PC one.
Yeah, I think they have the resolution when they launched on PC. I think.
So still the original game.
Yes.
Oh boy. I mean, I feel like people know what Final Fantasy VII is.
Yeah, I would typically think so.
So we'll
go over our motivations for why Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
VII.
why Final Fantasy VII? As you may know, if you are a person who exists in society, the Final Fantasy VII remake is nigh upon us when we're recording this. I think today is the day before it comes out.
Indeed.
I had not actually finished Final Fantasy VII.
Apparently you had never left Midgar.
No, I've never left Midgar. Which, I mean, would have worked for this...
Final Fantasy VII remake?
For the remake, apparently. Yeah, I've never left the opening area of the game. Yeah. I've only gotten, like, a couple hours in. Every time I tried to play it, I don't know, I just got distracted or bored or... I mean, and I love JRPGs, so FF7 is a JRPG. There you go.
I had finished it twice previously. I'd, like, 100%ed it once. But I was actually interested to play it again, too, because I didn't still remember, like, parts of the story. I feel like if I was asked to explain the story of the game, I still would have gotten things pretty wrong. So it was certainly good to go through again and relearn the story. Yeah,
so my goal is, like, I want to play the new version because I want to understand the cultural zeitgeist behind it.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's way better to play the new one if I play the old version first.
Yeah, I think we'll appreciate the differences.
Just so I can, see the differences and, I don't know, learn more. Know more about game design.
So that's why we did it.
So that's the why.
Yes.
In doing this, we decided to kind of just play through the entire...
FF7 canon?
FF7 trilogy of games plus the movie. So I guess we'll kind of go through those all separately as different videos. But,
in case you don't know what Final Fantasy VII is...
I mean, so I'm not going to explain JRPGs.
No, I don't think so.
Look them up, I guess.
Yeah.
This one's interesting. So FF7 as a game, it's like the first 3D Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
It has this very what's the vibe? I guess so. Final Fantasy VI is very
Final Fantasy VI is
Magitech oriented.
It is.
This is a bit more not post-apocalyptic. No, it's cyberpunk.
No, yeah, it's a little more. It's more dystopian.
It's cyberpunk. I guess it's just dystopian.
FF6 isn't so dystopian. Like there is a big authoritarian government, but it's not really a dystopia in the same way. I don't think.
Is it not?
I don't think, Midgar has some obvious class issues, right? Like there's literally a lower caste of people underneath the city. And that's not really a thing in Final Fantasy VI like that. 6 also has multiple kind of small kingdoms and stuff, whereas 7 is the world is oppressively controlled by a mega corporation, which I don't think is a theme that really comes up in other Final Fantasies I've played even. That kind of capitalist dystopia.
Not quite.
So it's kind of
I feel like they tend to be about religion or.
Yes, they have more religious authoritarianism. More about war.
This one's a bit more directly capitalism and
environmentalism.
Are the kind of themes of the game.
Yeah.
But pretty standard stuff as far as the JRPG goes. It has a turn-based battle system.
Yep. An active turn-based battle system.
Sorry, yes, an ATB, if you will. I guess to talk about that a little. Bit. There's the kind of big thing that this adds to, or the kind of unique system in this game is the materia system.
Which is, which I quite like. I'm a fan of any anything where like you I don't know gain experience in like interesting ways. So like materia, it levels up itself like separately from your characters, similar to like the magicite system from Final Fantasy VI, where you have this other thing that grows isn't the character itself. Otherwise, magicite kind of helps your character grow. You can like mix and match a lot of interesting ways, and like combine materia together. Like I use the materia that is fire, and the materia that like adds that linked materia to my weapon, to, like fire elemental damage. Just kind of like cool combos like that. I guess I found that the combos were perhaps a little underexplored. There's a lot of combos we wanted to work that like don't really.
Yeah, they're a little limiting. So,
which I didn't really think about in previous runs, I guess. But you had some pretty good points about.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to compare FF7's materia system to even like Final Fantasy Tactics' class system or Bravely Default's class system. Other Square games where they're totally content to let you kind of like
combination you want.
Do any combination of like if two things seem like they're compatible by text, have fun, do it.
That's true. Bravely Default is much more free in that sense.
There were things like in FF7 you get stuff like what's a good example? Added steel, or
added effect in steel, for instance.
Oh yeah, added effect in steel. Sure. So the added effect materia lets you add a status effect, kind of, to your melee attacks.
Poison, and now you would start doing poison attacks.
Yeah, so all of your melee attacks would be poison.
Yeah.
You added effect and death. You would get insta kills on your attacks sometimes. You sort of naturally go like, oh yeah, what if I do like added effect steel? Can I like steal as part of my attacks?
Yeah.
Nah.
I mean, you're like, well, it's not
really a status effect, so... But I'm like, that would be really cool. Like, it's possible to put these two materia together, but it just turns out that they don't do anything. Same thing with, like, steel. You can't steal all.
Oh, right, yeah. Mixing steel and all seems like a very reasonable thing to do, or mug all, and that doesn't work.
There's a lot of things that you'd want to pair with all that just arbitrarily don't work, and there's no real reason for it. I mean, it's because the designers thought it would be cheap, I guess, but... I mean, the game balance is so wonky regardless.
Yeah,
that, like,
Final Fantasy's never been, like, a huge bastion of good game balance, I don't think.
I mean, it's hard to at this kind of level, but...
Yeah.
It still has the same kind of JRPG tropes of, like, for most battles, spam attack.
Yeah, spam physical attacks. And once you get Knights of the Round, we just wreck everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, though, the version we played... has the remaster that we played on Switch has 3 like cheat modes basically.
Yes.
They have that you can toggle just with a button press.
Yeah.
They have like triple speed, which like speeds up your movement outside of battle, like in the world map.
Yeah,
and
basically
most areas
just
in the game.
triples everything in the game except like the background music and sound effects and stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's just it's like a I think it triples your movement speed and it triples the like ATB tick rate.
Yeah.
When you're in battle.
I mean, it speeds up the whole battle, all the animations.
Oh yeah, all the animations.
Like,
yeah,
really
speeds up those animations too, sure. And it works pretty seamlessly and clean.
Yeah, and this was like kind of a godsend for. I mean, JRPGs are long, but
yeah, and Final Fantasy VII in particular, your walk speed's really slow.
In the world, yeah, I mean, I think
your walk speed on the map is really slow, and there's a lot of map play.
Yeah, I think it's kind of normal-ish for Final Fantasy, but like having triple speed available made it feel like a really snappy game.
Yeah,
I remember Final Fantasy VII being so like tight.
I mean that was nice. That made
really
the game.
It's a really good quality of life feature.
Yeah, it made it much more reasonable to get through. I think.
And probably Final Fantasy VIII Remaster has the same thing, so that'll be great.
Yes, that'll be nice when we play that.
Yeah. You have no encounters.
Oh yeah, you can turn off encounters, which again another great thing. I think this should just be in all JRPGs.
Yeah.
When we played Bravely Default, it had it
right away. Or pretty.
I think that's a feature that they added to Bravely Default for the sequel, which is like
the remaster.
The remaster that was actually the first version that got released here.
Yeah.
Sorry. Tangent.
Japan.
Japan.
Dynamics. Yeah.
But Bravely Default has this as like a built-in feature, and I'm like, this is great. I love being able to turn off encounters, because sometimes you're just like, cool, I'm done leveling up. I don't need to fight anything anymore. I just want to go to the next story beat. Or I want to go from here, this part of the world, to this part of the world, just to check something, like do a side quest or something.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't want to fight everything in the world.
You can also double the encounter rate if you want. Yeah, in Bravely Default.
In Bravely Default, you could. Yeah. You could like 1.5 and
it doesn't feel cheap to turn off an encounter, because it's like, well, you can't just turn off encounters, you're going to be super overpowered. You have to do them at some point. Yes. But you have just some control over when you do it. If you want to do your level 1 run, then you can go for it.
Yeah, no thanks.
Classic Square.
But being able to turn off encounters helped a lot. And then the other one was, which we used very, very sparingly, was the auto heal after every tick, basically.
Yeah, it basically just keeps you sort of invincible in battle.
It doesn't stop you from getting one shot, but it does heal you
and
fully
it gives you your limit
every
break.
Action and gives you your limit break.
That one was to grind AP at the end to master materia or something. Basically.
Yeah, that one basically just sped up the grinding for us at the end.
We did Battle Square.
It's not really the mark of a real gamer to sit down and play for 5 hours.
I'm sure opinions may vary, but we know.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, it really doesn't matter.
No. So very, very good quality life features. The triple speed in particular is really handy to have. So it is certainly the version of the game I would recommend playing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we should probably get through to our review, and so we can talk a little bit more in depth about the game itself.
Statute of limitations for spoilers probably pretty up on this game by now. It has been 26 years, but yes.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not straightforward.
This is a hard one to do because... So, I mean, obviously I'm rating this from the perspective of, having played it way after
in
its
a modern
expiration
time.
date, basically.
Yeah.
And with hindsight of, well, you could play other games and, what... So my recommendation comes from, should you play this game now?
In the modern era? Yeah.
In the modern era, perhaps without the knowledge of FF7 Remake and whether or not it's good.
Yeah.
And, if you like JRPGs, I think I'd probably give this a 3. Despite... I don't think it's as... I feel like if I played it at the time, I might have given it a 4.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I feel
same for me.
It definitely loses some... The story's not great.
The story is not actually that good.
I mean, so it's so weird. The story has I like the idea of the characters, but the individual characters themselves don't have a lot of story time, or they're not active enough in the story. Once you get out of Midgar, you're kind of just jumping around from place to place.
Yeah.
And there's not really... This is one of those games where, the plot is just a series of events, as opposed to...
Yeah, there's
actual character growth and character building. Only Cloud and kind of Tifa, and honestly, Zack.
Yeah.
I feel like Zack is, one of the most built-up characters in the game, and he's not even present during any of it.
He's dead.
Cloud has quite a lot of character building... And Tifa kind of becomes interesting in retrospect.
Yeah. Yeah.
But everyone else is pretty straightforward. And very bizarrely, Sephiroth is, not present.
Oh, yeah. I guess you were expecting more Sephiroth.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, the way people talk about Sephiroth... Yeah, it sort of turns out that Sephiroth's not in the game.
For almost the entire game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's spoiler territory.
But again, 26 years.
Sure. But I still think I think the battle system is fun, if very flawed.
Sure.
I think
the materia system is, a really good idea.
It is a cool idea.
It turns
it's probably
out
done better in a lot of
time that it's not as good as I might have thought. It does have a lot of flaws. But I like the materia system a lot. It's really, when I think of like designing RPGs, I certainly think of Materia as like a big influence on some things that like systems I would like to make.
Sure.
So
I mean, it's got a lot of cool ideas. It just doesn't. I think it doesn't quite fulfill them in like a perfect way. But I think if you like this type of game, like give it a shot.
Yeah.
Especially give it a shot with the cheats, like speed through, like just book it through.
Yeah,
You're
it's
not missing a lot.
A lot more value for your time when you can triple speed everything.
Yeah, perhaps if we couldn't triple speed, maybe this would actually be a 2.
Pretty slog, yeah.
It's like a bit too much of a slog in the modern era to like actually tell somebody to go play it like that.
Yeah, agreed.
Like fully raw, I suppose, but yeah. What do you?
Yeah, I agree with all this. I'm sure that at the time when I did play it, I actually played it after Final Fantasy VIII. I played Final Fantasy VIII.
8 probably had the PC version first.
Soon after 8 came out. I wasn't like looking forward to 8 or anything. I literally had some money I'd earned from a garage sale, and I was like, let's go to Walmart and like spend this money that's burning a hole in my pocket. And I was like, ooh, Final Fantasy VIII, that looks cool. And then I really wanted Final Fantasy VII afterwards. But yeah, I actually played 8 first, and then 7. I had seen like some friends play 7 earlier, maybe a couple years earlier. And certainly it always seemed like people were like, people like FF7 more. I thought the story in 8 is really good. But like, I like the story in 7. I thought it was more confusing. Upon replaying it now, I'm like, yeah, the 7 story's actually got a lot of like technical like scenario problems. The characters are actually pretty flat. The story is not told very well. I think, in retrospect, 8's probably quite a lot stronger. So I look forward to playing 8 Remaster, which we will do.
It'll be interesting to see, because I think Nomura wrote both of them.
I would imagine
the same guy
given the stories. They're both a little wonky. 8's a little bit less wonky, but it's still got some shit going on. I think, at the time, everyone was always like, 7's a better game than 8.
But I think that's because they played 7 first.
I think it's because they played 7 first. Yeah.
And I think it's one of those games where if you have like a really, like when you're younger and have like that wondrous, naive imagination, and you can like fill in gaps on the characters. You don't know a lot about like
story writing, and
well, I mean, I think you can just fill in the gaps in the characters a lot more. A lot of the characters in FF7 are just like ideas of characters.
Everyone has like one scene for character development. Like Sid has the one thing about Shira, and Barrett has the one thing about Corral, and
you're just supposed to kind of like fill in the gaps with your own interpretation of who they are and like how they behave and what their motivation is and their drive. And I think if you do that, then I think the characters are a lot more interesting.
And I think people probably think that Cloud is cooler than Squall. So when you're a small kid, I think that probably goes a long way.
I'm guessing that actually is the case, though. I kind of like that Cloud has this.
Cloud has the kind of like, I'm a hero energy, whereas Squall is.
Ooh, does he though?
Squall is mopey teen.
Sure. Cloud really wants to be a hero.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting.
Maybe Leon doesn't.
Leon. Squall. Actually, what's Squall's motivation even? I guess we'll see when we play.
Yeah, I
feel like Squall's motivation is maybe quite a lot less clear than Cloud's. Actually, now that I think about it. But yeah, I think people would like want to be Cloud more than they want to be Squall.
Yeah, I would agree. Probably. That's just a guess.
Yeah.
I think it's probably time for some spoiler talk. So,
yeah.
Stick around
we'll jump into that.
If you want to hear that.
Yeah, hide your ears if you don't want spoilers for a 26-year-old game.
Alright, let's go.
Woo.
Where do we start with spoilers? Yeah, so again, very bizarre that Sephiroth is like kind of absent the whole time.
And I didn't even understand that when I played previously. Like, things I certainly learned about the game this time was more about like more about who Sephiroth actually is and who Zack actually is. It's like more solidified now. And how Jenova works, I guess. And yeah, the biggest thing for me...
I'm like, should I try to tell Sephiroth,
tell the story.
Tell the story of FF7.
Well, also one thing that's really important is we read about the differences between the Japanese and English versions.
Yes.
Because some things got changed in the English version.
I know, chat. I can't believe you're about to get spoiled on this.
Yeah, close my ears. But yeah, clones of Sephiroth are a pretty big deal in Final Fantasy VII. And yet, apparently, aren't a thing in the original Japanese.
I'm not actually sure. So we read some post that was saying that, but now that we've seen like Advent Children and Crisis Core, I'm like, but maybe there are a lot of clones of some people.
That's true.
I don't know.
But
okay,
I think,
I want to do the quick story explanation.
All right, yes, please explain the story of Final Fantasy VII.
Okay, do I go in order or?
Do it the way you think is the most comprehensible.
The way I think it's most comprehensible. Okay, so we start off with, Cloud is this dude that wakes up in a city called Midgar, which is kind of this like, I don't know, super future metropolis built on this giant plate hovering over the ground, and then people built slums underneath it.
For literally no reason.
Yeah, I don't know why they built it like this. It's stupid. They've got 8 nuclear reactors.
They do have a reactor 0, so I guess it's 9.
Okay, they have 9 nuclear reactors in this cool city that like form a little ring, and you're trapped there for the beginning part of the game. Cloud he says that he's a soldier. Soldier with all caps.
Soldier!
Soldier!
It doesn't stand for anything.
Yeah, Cloud is soldier. Ex-soldier, sorry.
Yes.
He's joined this group of environmentalists called the Avalanche? Avalanche!
Also all caps for no reason.
So he's joined up with Avalanche to take down the reactors.
Yep.
Because the reactors, it turns out, are using Mako energy, which is like the planet's lifeblood. And if they use up too much lifeblood energy, something bad will happen. So they're like,
I don't
okay,
know that
let's...
it's clear what that will be.
They need to, so they start blowing up some reactors, and then Shinra, the company that like runs the city, and apparently the entire fucking world for some reason.
Yes.
Unclear.
There's no government in this.
Shinra's the government.
Yeah.
And also Wutai is the other government, because they had a war 5 years ago.
Yeah. Just irrelevant, we'll never talk about it in the game.
Yeah, not important. They say there was a war. Pretend like a war happened between a company and a sovereign nation.
Yep. The company did win.
Yes, somehow. Anyway, where are we? They're blowing up some reactors. Yeah. Then the company Shinra is like, no, that's bad. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Those are our reactors. We're going to kill you. You fight them a bunch. You then get captured.
Yeah.
And then you kill the president.
You don't know.
Somebody who kills... Sephiroth kills the president.
Ostensibly, Sephiroth kills President Shinra.
Then it turns... you find out... While you're captured, Sephiroth shows up, and he's like this cool soldier dude that's gone missing. He went missing 5 years ago, and he's like, I'm gonna kill everyone.
Yeah, presumed dead.
Yes, everybody thought he was dead.
Suddenly he's back, and he's killed President Shinra.
Yeah, he like, appears, kills President Shinra when you're about to kill President Shinra.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
And then he leaves, and then you're like, we need to find Sephiroth. We need to kill Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Because he wants to find the Promised Land, and the Promised Land is the ancient...
It's where all the fossil fuels are.
Yeah, it's where all the fossil fuels are. Apparently in the Promised Land, there's infinite energy, and they know this because there's some old writing left behind by the Ancients, and the Ancients are basically Aerith's family, and of aliens that lived on this planet.
Or they're the indigenous people?
No, they're the aliens. I think humans are the indigenous people, and...
maybe that's true, actually.
And the Ancients are before them.
And I guess our way out of the city, since we couldn't kill President Shinra, we try to kill his son instead.
Yeah, so we try to kill his son, and then that doesn't really work.
And we leave.
And we just leave. And then we go on a world tour of trying to find Sephiroth. No, it's just like...
But yeah, it is. It's like where in the world is Sephiroth San Diego?
Yeah, so then Sephiroth is just like running around the world, and you're like, where's Sephiroth? He's over here. Nope, he's over here now.
Like, we need to get on a boat.
And then you do kind of side quests for all the characters to find out why they're all sad.
Yes,
and it doesn't really matter, and then you find Sephiroth finally, and he kills Aerith, but Aerith knew what Sephiroth was going to do, so she started casting Holy, this cool spell that's going to stop the thing that Sephiroth's doing. It turns out Sephiroth's summoning a meteor. The meteor's going to hit the planet and kill everyone.
Well, it's at least going to damage the planet.
It's going to kill everyone. And
maybe.
Yeah, I think it's going to kill everyone. Shit. Where are we? Sephiroth killing the planet. End of Disc 1. Okay. That's like all the story. Part 2, we find out that Cloud's not really a soldier. He actually just thinks he's a soldier. He really wanted to be a soldier growing up. But actually his friend Zack was the soldier. And Tifa knew this, but didn't tell him because she's an ass? She was just confused, I think.
Yeah, I don't think she knows what to do, and suddenly her childhood friend, Cloud, is suddenly like, yeah, I was this cool soldier, and I came back to our hometown and did all this cool shit. Tifa's like, well, that didn't happen.
Yeah, there's this cool scene where she's like, listening to you tell this entire story about, like, you coming to this town.
And she actually asks you questions, doesn't she?
She does ask you questions.
Did you read the letter? And he's like, yeah, I totally read the letter.
And it's like, no, Zack did that.
Yeah. So he's,
he accidentally absorbed Zack's memories, I think, or something.
Yeah, he's not just lying. Like, he actually believes this is the case.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Long story short, they continue looking for Sephiroth. They find him. Turns out that Sephiroth thought he was an ancient, but instead ended up being a child of Jenova.
A different alien race.
Different alien race that just wants to delete the Earth instead of saving it, which the ancients want to do. And we kill him.
Yes.
And then he's dead. There's some stuff with the weapons.
Yeah, at some point
somehow Sephiroth tricks the weapons.
Spawn some monsters to, like, help protect the planet. Which they kind of do, because the weapons immediately are like, kill Midgar. Which,
sort
is a threat to the planet.
The weapons are like, the weapons want to delete humanity because they've decided that humanity is the problem.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the Earth is healing, we are the virus.
Yes. Weapons in their natural habitat.
Yeah, so the weapons want to just kill everyone, and then we're like, we'll stop the weapons.
Yeah.
So we stop the weapons, and then we're like, but wait, Sephiroth still wants to kill everyone.
Yeah, we need to kill him.
So then we go find Sephiroth, and then it turns out that all the Sephiroths we've been seeing the entire game aren't really Sephiroth, but they're actually like these pieces of Jenova.
Yeah.
Who's like the original alien, who's just making herself look like Sephiroth for God knows what reason.
Yeah. Because all the pieces of Jenova want to...
Oh, they're all... Sephiroth did die 5 years ago, but
he fell into the life stream.
He died, he fell into the river beneath the Earth.
Became a crystallized, topless, beautiful man.
Yes, he's now in a crystal.
Yeah.
And all of the other pieces of Sephiroth, and everybody who's been injected with Sephiroth cells or Jenova cells is all, like, gonna go reform because they're gonna make Super Jenova. And...
Yeah. And
you finally see Sephiroth at the very end of the game when you, like, open up the crystal and he's like, haha, I'm here.
And he does.
But he doesn't say anything. He literally doesn't say a single fucking word.
Yeah, it's possible that actual Sephiroth has 0 lines of dialogue in the entire game.
Yeah, and then you fight him, you kill him, and then you're like, great job everyone, let's go. And then
shit, the meteor's still falling.
Oh, yeah, they have to go deal with Meteor, but then you, like... You have, like, a freak out, and then you have, like, a psychic mind battle with Sephiroth.
Oh, that's true.
And where you just, like, insta-kill him
with
Omni-Slash
him in your mind. Yeah.
And then you save everyone by stopping the meteor.
Yeah.
Oh, but it turns out you didn't have to do anything because Aerith actually did that in Disc 1.
Yeah, does Holy actually just come back?
Yeah, Holy just works. Yeah. Yeah, so
that's all good.
Yeah, it turned out that Aerith saw everything coming at the beginning and just saved everyone retroactively.
Yeah.
If you played Pokemon, she used Future Sight. It came back 3 discs later and deleted Meteor. And everybody was like, oh, well, shit.
It's quite the long
Great job, Aerith.
Yeah, it was good. She did a good job.
But yeah, that's the story. It's long and convoluted, and not really because it is well written, just because it kind of is this kind of constant chain of stuff happening.
The good part of the story is the interesting mystery of Zack and Cloud. And
yeah, I think
actually happened in Nibelheim 5 years ago.
Yes, that's actually like the cool part.
Yeah.
And basically no one else has a good story, really.
Not a lot.
Barrett has his, like...
Barrett is like, Shinra harmed my town and my friend got mad at me.
And he's like, I must protect my daughter, and it's like, it's not really even his daughter, it's his, like, best friend's daughter.
Oh, right, yeah, it's Diane's daughter, isn't it? Yeah, right.
Shrug.
Tifa doesn't have a lot of...
Tifa's story is Cloud.
I mean, and also, again, she's involved in what happened in Nibelheim.
Sure, but so everyone she knows is dead except Cloud, and that's why she's really into Cloud.
Red 13 thought his dad was an asshole, but actually he was cool.
Yeah, Red 13's the dog. He's the wolf in the party. He's neat, but he has, like, no relevance at all.
And Kate Sith.
Kate Sith is the cat riding the teddy bear.
Who is actually a Shinra double agent, which is cool.
Yeah, that's fun. I mean, I like him, but that's very bizarre.
I like that you called it out that it was Reeve, and I didn't even remember that it was Reeve.
Oh, did you not?
No, I'm like, I know he's a Shinra employee, but I thought he was like a rando Shinra employee. I didn't realize it was Reeve.
So the bad guys, Shinra Corp, just have like a gaggle of villains.
Of cartoon villains?
Yeah, very cartoonish villains.
They're all comic relief.
Yes, except for Reeve. Reeve is the only one who's not, and he only shows up in a couple of scenes, and I've like forgot about him for a long time.
Yeah.
And then suddenly when it was like, ooh, there's like a double agent in Shinra, and they are like commanding one of our party members.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, I guess it's Reeve. He's the only like reasonable one.
Yeah.
Every time
I was like, I won't say anything, and I'll let you believe that it was true. I'm like, oh, good call.
Yeah, because it just sort of like you have your options are like the crazy lady who wants to kill everyone with her super weapons.
Yeah.
The crazy dude who wants to crush everyone with the army, or Reeve, who's just like a nice guy who's always like, whenever they're like, should we kill everyone or kill everyone? He's like, can we not kill everyone?
Yeah. They're all like, Reeve. Classic Reeve.
Yeah, Reeve's pretty fun. I like him, despite he's also kind of not really super important.
Yeah.
Vincent, bonus character. He's interesting, but also not.
We'll get to Dirge of Cerberus, in which we still won't know that much about him.
Yeah, not really. And then Yuffie is just kind of annoying, actually.
Yuffie is pretty annoying. In all 3 games, Yuffie is...
I really wanted to like Yuffie.
Annoying.
I normally like really goofy, like, silly characters. But
like,
Yuffie
think about Pascal, or someone instead.
Yeah, Pascal's like fun and silly.
Like,
Yuffie is like annoying just to be annoying.
Yeah.
And they like intentionally she actively takes stuff from your party.
Yeah, no, she's just annoying.
She just like fucking wipes all your materia at some point.
Yeah.
We did have her around for a lot of scenes, so I did like the like.
She doesn't feel like an optional character. It feels like she's always there because she's like the most present.
Yeah, you can get her quite early.
Yeah.
And then Sid is Sid.
Yeah, he's a grumpy old man. You know,
he's okay.
Fine. His story is that he was once mean to a woman.
Yeah. And I guess that leaves Aerith, and whether or not she's... I didn't, like, feel anything when Aerith died. I think
Yeah, part of it is you know it's coming.
Sure, yes.
It's not like the animation is great. Great for the time, not right now.
It doesn't need to be great for...
No, like I say, I felt a lot about, like, Palam and Param in Final Fantasy IV, and in Scene in 6 that we'll get to, but no spoilers.
Okay.
And those are obviously just, 16-bit things. I thought were more emotional than... Even... I don't totally remember what I thought when I first played it. Because I don't think I knew when I played it, even though I played it a couple years late.
I think Aerith's death has a lot of emotional impact if you had, like, actively used her a lot, and...
Yeah, because we know she's going to die, we kind of just didn't put her in the party.
Yeah. Yeah. But she doesn't have a lot of... I think, again, if you're, like, filling in the characters with more imagination.
Yeah.
I think she has a lot more personality to her, but I think the way the game plays her, she's kind of demure and
I'm sure it'll be a lot better
naive.
in remake.
Yeah, I think the remake
has a huge opportunity to like nail this scene again. Should be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think
we'll certainly come back and review remake after.
Yeah, I mean,
we're not going to get the scene in remake. Fuck.
Oh, not in the first part of the remake.
Not yet.
So the remake's just redoing the Midgar portion, which is like the first
like half of
the first disc.
Yeah,
which admittedly is like the bulk of the story. It's like most of where everything.
There's way
happens.
more going on in Midgar than in the rest of disc 1.
Yeah, once you get out of town, there's just not.
Then
really.
You go to the Chocobo farm and you ride a dolphin, and Aerith dies, and that's like the rest of disc 1.
What'd you feel about the tone of the game? I was very surprised by the tone.
That it's quite silly.
Yes, FF7 is very silly.
It is pretty silly. 8 is...
It's a lot of slapstick humor.
8 is less silly. 8 certainly still got the comic relief thing going on. Like, Biggs and Wedge and 8 are very silly.
Sure, but comic relief is different from, like... I don't know.
But
everybody
the villains aren't. Like, here we have, like, even... I mean, Rufus is less silly, but he's surrounded by silly people.
Yeah.
Like, Adia is not silly in 8. And, like, Cypher is not silly. He does have Fujin and Raijin, who are kind of silly. But yeah, 8 does take itself more seriously. 7 is pretty goofy.
Yeah, in 7 we've got, like, Rufus, who is the head of Shinra after Sephiroth kills his dad.
Yeah.
He's serious out of the bunch.
Yeah.
Then you have, like, the Turks on one side.
Who are goofy.
Who are pretty goofy, except for Sang. Sang is the only one who's not goofy.
Yeah.
He's, like, kind of the boss of the Turks. He's, like, a secret agent dude. He's very serious and, like, nearly dies. It's very ambiguous.
Yeah, it's actually not clear in the game if he dies or not.
Yeah.
Until, like, Advent Children, you're like, oh, he survived. Cool.
But all of his underlings are all very silly, I think.
And all the rest of Rufus's underlings...
Yeah, all of the other like, heads of... Yeah, Heidegger and Scarlet.
Hojo, Scarlet are...
They're all
pretty silly.
Extreme caricatures of, like, villains.
They literally all just are distinguished by having different laughs.
Oh, I forgot about their, like...
They're like, kya ha ha, and gya ha ha, like, mwah ha ha. Like, okay.
Yeah, they're literally just, walking stereotypes of villains.
Don Corneo is silly.
Ridiculous. And then the party members also just... Anytime they're, like, supposed to be heroic, I feel like Cloud has a lot of, like... I don't know... fuck it, let's just do the thing, or... Yeah,
Barrett is, like, over-exasperated most of the time, and it's, like, not
for, like,
really
no reason.
Yeah.
He's always like, I don't understand any of this complicated stuff. And
yeah,
like,
they play him as incredibly dumb. It's like...
All we said was 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah, it's like, put the materia in
I don't get it.
He's like, I'll leave the materia to you. Like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's very
I imagine
weird.
he'll be less dumb in the remake.
I hope so.
It's like, was not necessary for him to be played quite that dumb.
Yeah, like, the only characters in the main cast who aren't played for laughs are, like...
Red 13?
Yeah, Red 13, Aerith, and Tifa?
Yeah, basically.
Everyone else kind of has quite a lot of... Like, even Cloud is very silly most of the time.
Yeah, he's kind of goes between silly and emo. Yeah,
he's either, like, in super serious mode or, like, says something... Or, I guess he's usually serious. But he's often, like, the straight guy to other people's jokes.
Yeah.
So it's a little weird.
Yeah,
I thought the tone was just odd.
Yeah, it's a bit funny.
For
what's kind of meant to be, like, a dark game?
Yeah, the beginning is very dark when you're in Midgar, which is very, like...
all grays.
Grungy, kind of shitty city.
Yeah.
And
then the rest of it is pretty bright.
Yeah, the rest of the game,
once you and purple.
Once you go out into the world, everything is like... It's the fun port city where we're having our beach episode.
Yeah,
like really weird.
I think FF8 actually maintains a more consistent visual tone on being like a little bit less saturated.
Sure.
And I think probably the tone's a bit more consistent too in the story, as far as being serious. But yeah, 7 is a little goofy.
I just when I hear people talk about 7, or when I see 7
people take it very seriously.
Represented in like even other media, like my first exposure to 7 is like Kingdom Hearts, where you see like Cloud step out, he's like all brooding.
Yep, Sephiroth is some evil bad dude.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this game must be really serious.
Leon's
and like
pretty intense.
But once you play the game, like everybody is it's just constant jokes and silliness.
It is really goofy.
It feels very childish.
You got the cross-dressing scenes and like, yeah,
it's a weirdly silly game. It'll be interesting to see how much of that they're able to keep in the remake.
Yeah, the remake is definitely going to take itself more seriously, but...
It has to.
But I'm hoping they haven't lost too much levity. Because I think it's still part of it.
There are quite a lot of funny scenes in 7 that are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so do want to say.
They need to learn how to balance it with the actual serious plot. And then there's the world building thing.
Oh, sure. The world doesn't make any sense. Like I already said, it's like you have Shinra, the big mega corporation, who somehow exerts control over all the cities in the world except Wutai. But every city isn't, like, they just kind of exist on their own. There's no higher level government structure over any of the cities.
Even the individual cities don't have, like, a mayor.
No one has, like, a mayor. The only town that has a mayor is Midgar. It doesn't matter. He's like a puppet.
Yes. So it's a little bizarre to, like...
Yeah.
Even think about, like, how these places are connected. You'll see in, like, the later games, if you play the other ones, they kind of have this idea, like, oh yeah, there's roads between the cities, and they're, like, much more fleshed out looking.
Yeah, even as soon as we get to 8, we start getting some, like, rail infrastructure, and we have at least, like, 3, 4-ish nations that, like,
I just meant even the other FF7 games.
Oh, sure.
Like, the other FF7 games try to make the towns feel more like they're part of a world. Like, this world has cars and motorcycles.
But no roads.
But when you go outside in the world, there's no roads.
Nope.
So where are these cars driving?
Nothing at all.
And, like, the continent that Midgar is on has a total of, like, 2 cities.
Things feel pretty underpopulated. Even for, like, Final Fantasy standards. I feel like in 6, like,
there's not much
cities like Narsh actually have a number of buildings and feel more densely populated than... Like, only Midgar feels like it has maybe an appropriate amount of people.
Yeah, because it feels like you're not going to all of Midgar, but every other city you go to, or town you go to, it's like, I'm here in this supposedly, like, quite big town. There's a total of 5 people that live here.
I mean, it's a classic JRPG problem to have your city not feel like it's populated, but...
It is, but
like, Modern Tales certainly do a better job.
Yeah, I feel like most games now are better at... this is just probably a problem of the time, but I think most games are better at, like, showing houses in the distance that you can't get to, or
I think in 8, a lot of the backgrounds in cities feel a lot more dense. Like, you can tell there's a bunch of other buildings and things, if you don't see too many people.
Yeah, here you, like, walk into Nibelheim and there's, like, 6 houses.
Yeah. We didn't even know there were extra houses until we played Crisis Core.
Yes.
And then we were like, oh, there's more houses back here. Like, 2 more, but still. We couldn't see them in FF7, so... Yeah, that was
like, the entirety of the people who live in Nibelheim are, like, Cloud, Tifa, the shopkeepers.
Yeah, no one lives in the biggest house, and... Yeah. Maybe her Kung Fu master.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think he lives there.
Do you not think so?
No. I think he was a traveling Kung Fu martial artist.
You think so?
Yeah. I think he says so.
Maybe.
In one of the flashbacks. You never meet him in person.
No, that's true.
Yeah, so the world building needs some work.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a big reason why the remake doesn't have
anything outside of
Midgar, because, oh boy, does nothing outside of Midgar make any sense.
Yeah.
There's some, like, just plotty stuff with the... I know we're being, like, super nitpicky, but...
I think it's fair, though.
The thing with the war with Wutai. So there's this mention of a war early on in the game, and you're like, oh, a war. Like, Sephiroth was the hero of the Great War.
The war.
The Great War, the Great War, the War, the Great War. And you're like, okay, when was this war? Oh, it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, people are like, I remember, like, I don't even remember before the war, and yeah, it was literally 5 years ago.
And this war seems to just have taken place with a foreign nation that's literally just one very small city.
Yeah. On an island.
On an island.
It's like if the US just went to war with Hawaii.
Yeah. It's really odd.
And it's not relevant to, like, anything in the story. It doesn't relate to anything in the story.
Well, because you don't even have to go to Wutai.
True. You don't have to go to Wutai.
And you don't even find out it's a war with Wutai until, like, really late in the game, too.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, for being, like, the major defining moment in recent history, it doesn't matter at all. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. So I guess we should probably try and wrap this up. Any closing thoughts? Any good thoughts?
I mean, like I said, I love the materia system. I like a bunch of the things that happen in the story. Like, I think the story is intriguing quite a bit in its, like, intriguing parts.
Yeah.
Can't look too closely.
Yes. It is very much, like, I like a lot of the ideas that are here.
Yeah.
That's why I am actually excited for the remake, because I'm like, you could do this well.
Yeah, let's see what we do.
Like, if you actually put this together, you could do it well. It can be done well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm quite excited to see what they do with it, because I think there's a lot of potential for it, which is kind of cool. But,
so yeah, I guess that's good enough to call this one clear. Yeah, I guess stay tuned for
more FF7
more FF7 stuff, because oh boy, did we play the rest of them. It shouldn't be as long as this one, but there we go. Alright, peace.